Between the 1960s and the 1980s, Russia sent a series of probes and satellites to Venus as a part of their famous Venera missions. But this program really wasn't the best that the Soviets had. The race to the moon took priority, and that was the end for interplanetary space travel for Russia during the Apollo era. Well, guess what? Russia is planning on going back to Venus. Hello everyone, my name is Julia. I'm one of your spaceflight communicators for Orbital Edge. Let's talk more about that new Venus mission on your space pod for March 28th, 2026. By now, we've all heard of humanity's upcoming return to the moon, with the long-term goal of sending people to Mars. Of course, Mars isn't a complete mystery to us. Between satellites and rover-based missions, we are very familiar with the red planet, and it's arguably the most exciting target for future space exploration. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other fascinating targets. Venus, for example, has been a subject of our interest for decades. So let's start with a quick recap of the original Venera missions. The goal of this program was simply to study the Venusian atmosphere and environment. But that's easier said than done. After all, the temperature on Venus reaches an average of about 870 degrees Fahrenheit, and the atmospheric pressure is nearly 100 times that of Earth's at sea level. So how do you collect data on a planet that is literally hot enough to melt lead? Well, 3 of the 13 Venera missions were satellite probes, so those weren't really an issue. The other 10 were surface probes. As expected, those did not last very long, but they did last long enough to transmit a little bit of data back to Earth. Venera 13 actually holds the world record for the longest surface Venus mission at 127 minutes. Not too shabby given the circumstances. So what's going to be different about the upcoming Russian Venus mission? And what's it all about? This new mission will be called Venera D, and it's currently scheduled for launch in 2036. The main goal of this mission is to study the elemental and mineralogical composition of the Venusian surface. But it'll also aim to study the thermal structure of the atmosphere on Venus and even the planet's magnetosphere. Another key component of this mission is the D part of Venera D. It stands for Dolgozhivushya, which means longer in Russian. The 2 main science components, the lander and the orbiter, will be designed to last longer in the harsh Venusian atmosphere and environment, which means we'll get more data and hopefully be able to learn more about our planetary neighbor. Again, this mission is currently scheduled for a 2036 launch, which is still a decade away. But we will be seeing more of Venus before then. NASA actually has 2 Venus missions planned for 2029 and 2031. Da Vinci, or Deep Atmosphere Venus Investigation of Noble Gases, Chemistry, and Imaging, will have the goal of studying the Venusian atmosphere. Veritas, Venus Emissivity, Radioscience, INSAR Topography, and Spectroscopy will map the Venusian surface to help us learn more about the planet's geological history. We actually covered more about these 2 very exciting missions on our last full-length show, so make sure you check that out if you haven't already after this video. So, despite the recent focus on the moon and Mars, there are still plenty of plans for Venus. Personally, I'm a huge planetary science nerd, so I cannot wait to see what these missions have in store. And we'll have to see which one actually gets there first. Maybe this will become a Venusian space race sequel. Again, my name is Julia, and I will catch you on the next orbit.